Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns, Vice President of the Louisiana Association of Professional Auctioneers. I am greeted today by Miss Betty Jo Story. She's located to your far left. My mother, Yvonne Burns, and LAPA President Freddie Phillips over to your far right. We have just concluded a court proceeding in which Miss Story was seeking remedy against the LALB for the infamous auction that entailed Marlo Smith. Now it's a little cool, it's a little breezy out here, you can probably feel the wind, so we're going to rejoin when we get inside with a little bit better accommodations for covering what all transpired in court today. But I did want to just briefly give you this introductory shot. This is January the 26th of 2015, and we are standing outside of 19th Judicial District Court, where we've just completed court proceedings with Judge Mike Caldwell. She also filed suit against the LALB for having failed to conduct any kind of meaningful investigation. Now, regrettably, today Judge Caldwell did rule that there's only a 30-day window to review an administrative action by a state regulatory body such as the LALB. That being the case, it would beg the question of how another auction complainant, specifically Brant Thompson, could have his complaint filed, be sent a letter, and we're going to provide you a link for that letter, that says the investigation is closed and we find no auctioneer wrongdoing. And yet the investigation gets reopened some kind of way, happens to be the son of a state senator, and it gets reopened, and the LALB has a full-blown hearing, and what do? They walk Mr. Thompson's hand. They hold his hand through the whole process. They file the bond claim for him. But what does this LALB do with an 84-year-old widow? They tell her to go out into the hallway, and they tell Mr. Smith to make it right with Miss Story. Mr. Story, was there any effort whatsoever made to make it right with you?
Not one bit. No.
Not one?
None at all.
And that was brought out at 36th Judicial District Court, was it not?
It definitely was.
All right. So the LALB has sent a letter. They have sent a letter saying they are willing, we're going to give you the link for that letter too, that they are willing to investigate this latest complaint by Miss Story. But there was a little bitty hook to it, a little bitty catch, a little bitty caveat. It said it was a function of what happened at today's court hearing. So what are you going to do, LALB? The ball's in your court. Are you going to go home and say, we beat an 84-year-old lady? I mean, just because the judge didn't order you to do it, doesn't mean you can't do it. So the ball's in your court. And I'm going to add one other thing on the Francis Thompson, Brant Thompson's son. I called the bonding company, okay? The bonding company was never even provided with a copy of Jim Steele's report. And in Jim Steele's report, he had said he could find no evidence of auctioneer wrongdoing, and in fact said during the hearing said we don't even know for certain that anything was even consigned. And yet the LALB filed that bond claim, and he's been paid. But they tell an 84-year-old widow, go out in the hallway and y'all work something out. Now I'm going to step back for just a moment and let Reverend Phillips and Miss Story, I've given you the crux of it. The ball is definitely in their court. Miss Story, I'll give you the opportunity now to say both to the auctioneers as well as to other consumers across this state how you feel this whole process has gone and what you would expect of the LALB in light of today's ruling.
Due to respect of my age and my being a widow, being alone, I think the LALB should open this and give it a real good, thorough investigation and do the job they're designed to do. Shame on you for letting a person like me turn out like I am.
Why don't you come up a little bit closer, Miss Story? I'm sure you won't. You did a fantastic job in court today, and I'm sure you won't mind repeating that. I just want to make certain that we don't have any kind of audio problem. Go back just a little too close, all right? Would you mind just saying both to the LALB itself, this is your opportunity to address them, both to the LALB itself and also as a forewarning of other consumers. Now, I'm going to ask you to just repeat kind of what you just said, and then we're going to get Reverend Phillips as the president of LAPA's take on this. So would you mind just giving the overview of what you just relayed?
LALB, you have been designed to do a job. And one of the jobs is to protect the public, to protect elderly people like me. And I think you need to reopen this investigation, do the job that I deserve having done for me, and I think you should take it from here. Thank you.
Well, and let me just ask you this, Ms. Story. What is your thought about the LALB's differing treatment for Francis Thompson's son?
Very unfair, very unfair. If my husband was a senator or the governor of Louisiana, I'm sure I wouldn't have been done like this.
Correct. And did anybody tell you? I mean, once the proceeding was over, did Anna Dow, Larry Bankston, any of the other attorney, anybody affiliated with the board say, now, Miss Story, if you're dissatisfied with the ruling today, you've got 30 days to appeal it? Did anybody make any effort to try and hold your hand the way Brant Thompson's hand was held?
No, not one person told me I had 30 days.
Right. Now, Reverend Phillips, you are the president of LAPA, and as the vice president of LAPA, I just want to say that what a thrill it is to be able to bring situations like Miss Story, and as you're aware, we're working with Miss Fasola on a similar type matter. But I think this validates the original vision that you had in forming LAPA. So I'd just like to maybe have you make a few comments as to what your assessment is. I know you and Miss Story have been in regular contact. I know you've offered prayerful support that she has acknowledged, and that's quite commendable. So I'm going to let you take the floor for just a moment. Now, he's a preacher, folks, so hopefully he won't go off on an hour for us, but we'll give you the opportunity to chime in as to how you feel assess this situation.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank all of the Louisiana auctioneers who began to look at this video and understand why LAPA was formed as a Louisiana Association of Professional Auctioneers. I also want the Louisiana auctioneers to look at what the regulatory body is doing to the elderly. Now, Ms. Story did not know all of the law, but she knew enough of it to know that she had been wrong. And because of that, she filed a claim. Not having the ability to do everything, she was asking for professional help. And I think the regulatory body is obligated to advise the public of their rights and their duties to what they can and cannot do. They made a promise to her that they would look into it, but only to look away from it and do nothing about it. And we're here today in support of Ms. Story's claim of what the board should have done. And we ask the board to make it right. Do what you should have done. She's still out of $32-something hundred that she's seeking remedy for. And if you want to do the right thing, go back, file this claim, and help this widow of 84 years receive what she needs in order to feel comfortable that justice was done. I'm the president of the Louisiana Association of Licensing and Professional Auctioneers. My name is Freddie Phillips, and I endorse this ad.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I thank you all for the time that you've taken. I know everybody has a busy schedule. I know you especially, Freddie. And my mom got out of the video, but I always like to thank her for, I'm going to turn it around here, but she's always there, always working, to moral support. And we certainly had that with Miss Story. And regrettably, the judge ruled as he had to rule by the law.
I understand.
But it doesn't stop the board. Just because a judge doesn't order you to do the right thing doesn't stop you from doing the right thing.
That's correct.
So let's just put this in their court, and we'll hope they will do the right thing. And Ms. Story, I'm going to ask you, the moment you get written notification from the LALB of whether they are or are not going to proceed with this investigation, I'd like to get a copy of that. We want to post it up to LAPA. It's important for future consumers to be able to know whether they can depend upon this board to provide them with the consumer protection that they are set out to provide. I thank everyone here today for all of the time, the energy, and we look forward to updating this story in the next couple of weeks or so, and we look forward to the next LALB meeting in March. And we thank all of the dedicated viewership who tune into these videos. We appreciate your dedication as well. So once again, this is Robert Burns, Vice President of the Louisiana Association of Professional Auctioneers, hoping everyone's new year has gotten off to a great start, and we look forward to bringing you more video coverage of matters like this in the near future. Thank you so much.